Gardenia flowers, some of the prettiest and sweetest smelling in the world. See all these many beautiful gardenia bushes? There are a lot of them. All of these came from a couple of gardenia bushes where I used to live. I grew all of these from branches that I rooted using a special method that almost always works. This method is more trouble than cutting a bunch of sticks and putting them in a rooting solution, but it's a lot more effective. Given the amount of success you might enjoy, it's worth the extra trouble. This method, you need clear plastic bottles like empty water bottles. They don't have to be clear, but if they aren't, you won't be able to see when the plant makes roots. You also need string like nylon kite string and potting soil and preferably some kind of spongy material. This can be from an old sofa cushion or some other kind of foam pad. It could also just be cotton or scrap material. You just need something to kind of let the water through but not the soil. You also need a good gardenia bush with lots of branches so you can get some of the branches rooted. This can be done any time of the year, but I recommend starting shortly before the growing season. That will give the plants the most time to develop roots and get a good start on life before the first freeze. To get the bottle ready, first you just cut off the bottom part. Then you make some holes on each side of the bottle. Right, next, to put some string through each of the holes. I'm just going to use the same string here and cut it in the middle. Okay, now it's ready to put on the gardenia bush. You need to try to find a branch that's sticking straight up and has other branches around it. You can use the other branches around it to try to tie it so it'll stay sticking up. Try to work it over the branch carefully. Disturb the leaves as little as possible, then try to tie it so it'll stay straight up as much as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can lean a little, but don't want the dirt to fall out. And speaking of don't want the dirt to fall out, here's where I put a little sponge kind of around the branch, around the bottom, to try to keep all the soil from coming out. And now for potting soil. Get it in there, kind of firm around. Needs to be good potting soil though, preferably with perlite, so it doesn't just rot. And okay, now it's ready to start growing. You might want to water it some, but it will still be getting moisture from the mother plant. After a few months into the growing season, you should start to see a lot of roots. Okay, looks like this one has quite a few good roots. It's been growing well. Here's another one that's really looking good. Quite a few good roots all in there. Look good, strong, look a little crowded. I should have cut it sooner. And here's one that apparently didn't make it. Sometimes that happens. Don't always get success. So don't see any roots and it looks like the branches died. This one has a little root at the bottom, but not much, so I'll probably leave it on a little longer, see if it'll grow some more. Yeah, here's another one with some really good roots. Most of them have done well, made roots. So now it's time to move on to the next step. Pruners, I just happen to have some scissors handy. Pruners will work better, but it's time to cut it loose from the mother plant and let it start a life of its own. Okay, now I'm gonna let it soak up a lot of water. It can no longer get water from the mother plant, so I want to help it get a lot of it on its own. Might not need to do this part, but might. Okay, now to get it out of there. Gotta try to be careful not to cut any of those precious roots. And get it in a nice pot of good potting soil. Okay, just be sure to keep it watered well, especially at first, and let it grow. This can give you lots of gardenia plants to give as gifts or just beautify your own yard. And oh, they smell so good.